Welcome back to day 3. Our goal for today, given a word problem, you will be able to write a let statement or let statements, set up an equation, and solve the quadratic equation. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to follow that goal of the day by following our steps. So just like yesterday when we were working with word problems, the first step, read the question all the way through and determine how many let statements are needed. Write your let statements. Reread the question and look for a key word that will tell you how to set up the equation. Write the equation, solve, and write out all solutions. Okay, so let's take a look here at number 1. So first things first, pencil down, okay, and then read through the question. If the square of a number increased by the number is 56, find the number. Okay, so now ask yourself, how many things are we trying to find here? The square of a number increased by the number. So it's the same number both times. Find the number. So there's only one number, so we only need one let statement. So I'm going to say let x equal the number. Okay, so now let's reread the question, look for some key words that are going to help us set up the equation. So the square of a number, so the square of the number, increased by the number, the word is, that means equals 56. So let's see if we can convert this sentence into symbols. The square of a number, so the number is x, and we're going to square it, is increased, the word increased means we're going to add, plus by the number, so we're increasing it by the number, so we're going to add the number, and it is equals 56. All right, so we've just set up our equation. So now we have to solve. Well, here I'm seeing x is squared. If x is squared, we have two answers. We have to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to transpose the 56 to the other side. We get x squared plus x minus 56 equals 0. Okay, now we have to factor and solve. So there's no GCF, so I'm going to go right into trinomial factoring. So we need to think, what are two numbers that multiply to negative 56 and add to positive 1? So multiply and add. And I'm going to say that is going to be positive 8, negative 7. Okay, so now we have to tee it up. So inside of the t's, you're going to put any factor that has an x. X plus 8, we set them both equal to 0. X minus 7 equals 0. So here we transpose the 8 and we get negative 8. And here we transpose the 7 and we get positive 7. So we have our two solutions. So find the number. The number could be negative 8 or the number could be 7. So there's two answers here. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. So number 2, the square of a number decreased by 24 results in twice the number. Find the number. So again, think to yourself, do I need one let statement or two let statements? Well, for this one, we're talking about the same number each time, so we're going to need just one. So this time I'm going to say let n equal the number. Okay, so now we're going to reread the sentence and see if we can convert the words into symbols and numbers. The square of a number. So the square means we're going to square it, so our number is n. So n squared, decrease, the word decreased means we're going to subtract, by 24. The word results is equals, twice the number. So twice means we're going to multiply, so 2n. And we've got it. So there's our equation. So now we have to solve. Again, if we take a look at our power, we have a 2, so that means there's going to be two solutions. So there's going to be two answers here. So if there's two answers, we have to set the whole thing equal to 0, and then we can factor and solve. So I'm going to transpose the 2n to the other side. And now when I rewrite it, we want to make sure it's in standard form. So n squared, then the n, and then the constant. Okay, now there's no GCF, So I'm going to go right into trinomial. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2. So that's going to be n minus 6, n plus 4. We tee it up and we get n is equal to 6, n is equal to negative 4. So there's two solutions here that could be possible numbers. So n can be 6 or it can be negative 4. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to flip it over to the back. Okay, so number 3. One number is 5 more than another. Their product is 66. Find the numbers. So this time, how many numbers are we trying to find? Well, there's one number and then there's another. So that means there's two numbers. There's two numbers, we need to have two let statements. So I'm going to let the first one be x. Let x equal the first number. Now, the second number we need to read, are they describing the other number or do we need a whole separate variable? One number is 5 more than another. So they're describing the second number for us. So they're giving us some hints. So that means we don't need a whole separate variable. We can say let, and one number is 5 more than another. So this next number has to be 5 more. The word more means we're going to add x plus 5. And remember, if it's a binomial, we put it in parentheses. So now we have our two let statements. So now let's read the question to see if we can find a key word. Their product is 66. So product means we're going to multiply. The word is means equals. So I think we can go ahead and set it up now. So the product, we're going to multiply x times x plus 5, and it is 66. So now we can go ahead and solve. So the first thing we have to do is get rid of the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute. X squared plus 5x equals 66. Now x is squared. If x is squared, there's two answers. If there's two answers, we have to set the whole thing equal to 0. So I'm going to transpose the 66. X squared plus 5x minus 66 equals 0. Now we have to factor. There's no GCF, so I'm going to go right into trinomial factoring. And what is going to multiply to negative 66 and add to 5? That's going to be plus 11 and x minus 6. So now we're going to tee it up. We set both parts equal to 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to transpose the 11 over, so we get x equals negative 11. But careful, we're not done yet. We found x, but remember there's two let statements. So underneath the x, now we have to find the second number. So that's going to be x plus 5 is equal to, so let's plug it in, so negative 11 plus 5. So remember, if you're not handy-dandy with your negatives, that's okay. Negative 11 plus 5, we get negative 6. So this is your first set of answers. Then we're going to go over to the other side of the t table. We're going to solve for x, so we have to add 6. So x is equal to 6. So now we have to find the second number that goes with it. And when we do that, we're going to get, so we're going to go positive 6 plus 5 gives us positive 11. So because x is squared, you get two answers, but you get two answers for x, but since there's two let statements, you need to find the second number that goes with both of them. So the answers could be negative 11 and negative 6, or 6 and 11, and you've got it. All right, so let's go ahead now and let's try number 4. The larger of two numbers is 2 less than 3 times the smaller. If their product is 40, find the numbers. So here we have a larger and a smaller, so we're going to have two let statements. So the larger of the two numbers is 2 less than 3 times the smaller. So we're going to say let x equal the smaller. So now we have to figure out what our larger number is. So the larger of two numbers is 2 less than 3 times the smaller. So 3 times the smaller, that's going to be 3x. And if it's 2 less, that means I got to subtract 2. And this is going to be my larger number. Okay, now we have our two let statements. This is a binomial, it goes in parentheses. Their product is 40. So product again means we're going to multiply. The word is means equals. So let's multiply these together. X, 3x minus 2 is 40. So now we're going to distribute 3x squared minus 2x equals 40. X is squared, so we're going to have two answers. Two answers, we have to set this equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract the 40. 3x squared minus 2x minus 40 equals 0. Now, there's no GCF, and I can't use trinomial because this number in front is a 3. So we're going to have to use factor by grouping. So we're going to multiply the first term and the last term together, and we're going to get negative 120. So now I'm going to go 3x squared blank blank minus 40 equals 0. Okay, so now we need to think of two numbers that multiply to negative 120 and add to negative 2. All right, so let's go ahead and think about that. All right, I always remember that if it ends in a 0, that means it's divisible by 10. So let's see what happens. Negative 120 divided by 10, and we get negative 12. And the difference between those is negative 2, which is great. So we're going to go ahead and do negative 12x plus 10x. And then we can do our factor by grouping. So here we get 3x, x minus 4. Over here we're going to have a GCF of 10, x minus 4, which is perfect. Our parentheses are the same, so that's our first factor. And then you put the outsides together. So 3x minus 10 equals 0. Okay, so now we can tee it up and find our two solutions. So x minus 4 equals 0, so x is equal to 4. Now that's your smaller number, so if that's your smaller number, we still have to find the larger number. So 3x minus 2, let's go ahead and find that. So 3 times 4 minus 2. So our other number would be 10. So our two numbers would be 4 and 10. Now over here, 3x minus 10 equals 0. So we're going to add 10 to the other side. 3x equals 10, and then we divide by 3. Oh, wait a second, I made a goof there. This is supposed to be plus 10. Plus 10, so that means we're going to subtract 10, so this should be a negative 10 over 3. So x is equal to negative 10 over 3. Now that's our smaller number. We still have to find the larger number. So underneath it, I'm going to find the larger number that would go with it. And I'm going to use my calculator for this one. So 3 parentheses, negative 10 divided by 3 minus 2. So when I substitute it in, we get negative 12. So those would be the two other answers that would work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are your word problems for today. Remember, you have to write your let statements, set up an equation, and solve your quadratic. For homework right now, you're going to go ahead and try the next 3 questions and the worksheet and be ready to hand it in at the beginning of class. Have a great day.